Welcome to the channel. It's Jack, the muscle and mobility maker with Stronghold Strength and Conditioning. And today, we're going to be talking about how to fix that hip shift that you're having with your squats. But before we get into it, make sure you take a moment and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on future content like this. Every Saturday, I'm putting out videos showing you how to resolve aches and pains, prevent injuries, and overall optimize your performance inside the gym and outside of it in your daily life and routine. And it doesn't get better than that. So take advantage of it. Ready? Let's go ahead and dive into this one. All right, like I said, today we're going to be going over why you're having that hip shift while you're squatting. And first of all, we're going to be looking at the reasoning behind the hip shift in the first place, okay, and covering all our bases there, making sure that we understand where it's actually coming from. And then we'll give you some actual mobilities to work on to help you balance out those hips so that you're able to squat in a way that's more balanced without shifting or favoring sides. So that is going to be how we're going to get it today. The very first thing that we would want to start with in any case would be a history of injury. So if I have a history of injury at my foot, there's a good chance that the function of my foot is affecting the function of my hip, and there might be collapsing there or something going on where I'm not able to actually stabilize from the ground up in my squat, causing me to shift from there. That can also go for our ankles. So if you have any foot or ankle injuries, those kind of go very hand in hand together and have direct relationship with what's going on at your hip. So if you have a history of injury at your foot and ankle, that's very important to note, and we'd want to make sure that we're addressing some stuff going on at the feet if there is weakness there, or if you have any flat-footedness or anything like that, that would be part of the problem. If you've had a knee injury, okay, this could be a direct traumatic injury. That can also be telling us something right there. Even if these things have been resolved, that's not to say that they aren't still impacting your current movement. So I think a lot of times people write off the fact that, oh, I had an injury in the past, I did PT, I can move around fine now, right? I'm good to go. It's not always the case, not always true. So if you had a knee injury, this could be causing you to actually take weight off that side or favor one side over the other, so that you are not putting as much pressure or equal weight on the sides because of that knee injury. And then, of course, if you've ever had any lumbar spine issue, this could also be causing you to favor one side over the other so that you are protecting that spinal column. So these are all things to keep in the back of your mind. If you've had any of these injuries specifically, that could be playing a role. Obviously, if you've had a direct injury to the hip itself, that is something that could also be causing you to shift. So anything along that chain is important to note. Now, if you've not had any history of injury there, or just maybe minor things, then it's more likely going to be simply missing range of motion that we're going to be needing to look at here, and specifically the external rotation of your hip. So we'll look at how to actually kind of gauge where your external rotation is at your hip, first of all, and then we'll go ahead and give you a few different exercises to improve that, and also how to stabilize that so that once you open up that new range of motion, you're going to make it stick and last longer through some basic stability and strengthening that will carry over into your squat. So now you can go ahead and work in a more balanced position overall and resolve that imbalance that's causing the shift. Ready? Let's go ahead and look at some of these exercises here and take you through it. All right, the first thing I'm showing here is how to test your external rotation, and we're going to use a yoga block to measure the distance here. So what we want to do is lie on our back, keeping our pelvis square. So I'm making sure that I'm not rotating my whole pelvis toward the block, but I want to open up my hip toward the block, trying to touch the outside of the knee to that block. Now I'm going to test the other side as well, and this is going to show us our tight side here. So we want to make sure that the block is on an equal level plane there, and then we're opening up. Here you can see my left knee is not getting quite as close to the block. I have a little bit of space there. My left side is my tighter side here, and that's okay. That's what we're looking for. All right, now that we know our tight side, we could do a few targeted mobilities. This is what I call a pigeon lunge, and I like it because it can contract and relax those muscles around the hips. So we're gonna activate the glutes, activate the piriformis, and then we're going to relax into a deeper stretch each time. So I'm actively using those muscles to lift myself up into a high position here, and then lower into the bottom of that lunge, touching the knee. We could do about 5 to 10 seconds hold before relaxing each time. The next one we're going to do is a 90-90 airplane. So once again, here we get to work both internal and external rotation of the hip, which is a bonus round here, but that front leg is the externally rotated hip. I want to lean in over the hip and then come back up to a tall airplane position. This is similar to the pigeon lunge, where I'm contracting the muscle and relaxing it, but in a little different setup overall. And again, I like the internal and external rotation benefits of this one for sure. The last one we're going to use to open up that external rotation is a hip shift with some load. So we want to place a foot flat against the wall, then a little space between the foot and the wall that has opened up, that tight hip. Okay, and we're going to reach the knee for the wall. This should contract the glutes, opening the knee prior to actually shifting. So we want to make sure that knee is in line with the middle or small toes. You can see my arch is active, which means I'm opening up. My foot is very active there. And we're using the load to help shift in a little deeper into that external rotation in a very similar position to what the bottom of our squat would be. So this is nice because it'll transfer over very well to the squat itself. Okay, and now that we've opened up range of motion, the last thing we want to do is make it stick through some stability work here. So I've got a band pulling me into an internally rotated position. I want to pull back against that band into external rotation at the hip. It's very important that I keep those 3 contacts of my foot at all points in time, so that I have my first metatarsal behind the big toe, 5th metatarsal behind the small toe, and my heel in contact in both the internal rotation and the external rotation. As I externally rotate, you should feel your glutes lighting up in this move here, and that is why I'm grabbing right there, right now. Once those glutes are firing, I like to add a few lunges here, so actually standing and returning back to the bottom position, trying to maintain the stability of the knee through that lunge. Lunges are great because they are unilateral, so they really isolate out any weaknesses at our hip here and show us a lot, and they will transfer over to your squat, especially that front leg position. All right, and there you have it. Quick, simple steps as to how you can fix your hip shift. First of all, do you have a history of injury that would be impacting your body, where you might be shifting away from that injury or causing tightness on one side versus the other? If so, that's where we want to look to actually address in the beginning. If there's no history of injury, we can simply go to where's the missing range of motion to start with, okay? And usually it's going to be external rotation of the hip that's limited, causing you to shift from one side to the other. So let's test that external rotation and then start to restore it and stabilize it. If you like this video, make sure you let me know by clicking that big thumbs up down below, and take a moment to share this one with a friend who you know you've seen shifting in the gym when they're doing their squats. Help them out, pass it their way. And if you're somebody who wants direct help or guidance resolving your hip shift, or maybe you do have that history of injury and you'd like some more direct help actually restoring mobility to those areas that you've had injuries, what I want you to do right now is drop down below in the description to fill out the coaching application and schedule your mobility blueprint call. What we'll do during that call is actually take the time to assess your current movement. We'll develop your mobility blueprint based off of what we find there, and then we'll actually lay out clearly in explanation how coaching online works and how we'll be able to help you over the next 12 weeks improve that and fully resolve the issues that you're struggling with. So if that sounds good, drop down below in the description, fill that out, schedule your call, and we will be talking to you soon. Last but not least, if you have not already, make sure you take a moment and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on future content like this. Every Saturday, I'm putting out videos showing you how to resolve aches and pains, prevent injuries, and overall optimize your performance inside the gym and outside of it in your daily life and routine. Does not get better than that. Welcome to the Stronghold Army. I'll see you next week.